Hello. I wanted to give you an update for how this week went with the feature film. I'm probably going to be doing more of these going forward, so I'll get better at doing these, but I just wanted to tell you how this week went and the goals with the feature film. So we are currently ramping up to do our crowdfunding, which is really exciting. It's a little nerve-wracking to talk about because I still have a lot of things to do before it goes live December 15th. Currently, this week, I spent a lot of time editing the pitch that I will be putting on crowdfunding. And the way I shot it was we can talk a little bit about the process of crowdfunding and everything I know thus far, and then you'll see in the back end of what I learned. So I crowdfunded for my short film Flowers, which is on this channel and has done really well on YouTube. That was a crowdfunded campaign. So that was my first experience ever doing crowdfunding, and it was a stint. So if you don't know what crowdfunding is, it's basically asking for the community to help raise the funds for something. In this case, it's the film. For Flowers, it took a month to do. Crowdfunding campaigns are usually 30 days or 45 days, and it feels like a sprint and a marathon because every day once the campaign's live, what I was doing for Flowers, and I'll probably do for this too, is you have to actively engage people with your campaign. So it's never enough just to have the video out. I wish it was. But it's sharing, it's reaching out to people, cold emailing, cold calling. I wouldn't even cold call, but for Flowers every day for 30 days, I spent an hour emailing people, going through my entire email list from A to Z, sending copy of, hey, I'm creating this really cool short film. If you want to join. And, as a director, I think it's important. I mean, there's so many different ways to do this, but for me, realizing that what you're giving other people is an experience that is really special. One of my favorite mentors from NYU said something that I absolutely love. She said, and she was a writer and director, I think maybe just a writer. She's a writer and actor, and she said when making your own things, that there's always enough money in the world and that you are offering people help, or you're offering people the opportunity to join your project when you ask for funds. It's never you. I think it's really easy to make it feel like you are asking people for help because you need them. And you do need them, obviously. You need them, obviously, to help make the project happen. But what you're not realizing is you also are adding value to their life, and making sure you lean with that lens instead of desperation is really important when you're crowdfunding. Realizing that a lot of people are artists, a lot of people love art, but they just don't have the time of day to do it. And you get to be a vessel in which they get to experience it. So, and a lot of people really love to see art come full circle, and that's why on this channel I think it's really important to be capturing the process of what it takes to make a film, and then also putting that film out eventually as well. So yeah, it's a daunting process because it takes a lot to do the campaign. I have a pitch reel, a video, which I'll talk about in a sec. And then you also have all this logistical things you need to go do. So let's talk about it. So the video that I made for crowdfunding, what you don't see, and you hopefully will see it soon by December 15th, is I shot it for 20 minutes. So something you don't see, which I would highly recommend if you are someone trying to pitch a project or you're trying to do something on camera, is let editing be your best friend. So what I do sometimes is if I wrote everything out, and I will do multiple takes of it without cutting footage. So I sat down for 20 minutes and just repeated the same things over and over again until it became natural. And it did eventually. Your body relaxes, you just kind of talk. But now I'm editing all that footage down into something hopefully tangible, and it's a little bit stressful because, some takes you like better than others, and other takes you don't. And trying to compile the perfect take is impossible and a little debilitating. So I'm learning right now to just make sure you get the points across, and that's good enough. So yeah, so I'm editing that, and then the next thing we're going to be doing is getting B-roll. So I'll have to look up footage that I can overlay this video to really give tone. A good pitch video not only tells the audience what the film is about, obviously, and where their donations will go, but it also makes them feel what the film is. So that's the second step. And then I will have to set up the page. So once you have the video, you then have to go through the crowdfunding page. I'm going to do Seed and Spark. And you have to set up the goal. You have to set up, all of your, not treats. You have to set up let me know if I'm forgetting the word. The things that you give back to people donating. You usually give them treats. You give them exclusive things. And setting all that up takes time. I will say what I've already done, which is great, is I already applied to do a fiscal sponsorship, which is basically this. I'm going to butcher this, but this is how I kind of understand it, is it's this nonprofit organization that you can have people send money to, that they will hold money for you for your project. They do it so when you attach it to your project, there's a fiscal sponsorship that I can use for films. Because it's community driven, it's not profit driven, right? So when you attach a fiscal sponsor, it allows any donations to be tax write-offs. So hopefully that will incentivize people to spend more, especially since our budget, it's bigger than a short film. So we're hoping that people will use that as an incentive to donate even more. So thankfully I already did that a few weeks ago. I reached out to Fractured Atlas. It took a couple days. I sent in a form talking about the project, and we got accepted, which is great. So I just need to make sure I get the Spark and Seed set up probably by December 5th, before the 15th, so we can be live 15th. They need to process it and make sure that it's good to go. And it's currently the 6th of December. So I'm kind of cutting it really close, which is stressful, but this whole process will be, and it's okay. This is what deadlines are for, to push us over the finish line, because you're not going to really want to finish things. So yeah, that's where we're at. This week, I spent some time doing all that. I wish I spent a little bit more time, but I'm balancing work as well. And yeah, hopefully I'll edit today and tomorrow. I'm trying to make sure I have an off day so I don't fully burn out. I think it's important, this going forward, crowdfunding is just one thing, and then when the campaign starts, it's a whole other process. It's, being really active for 30 days, pushing it out, not being afraid of people seeing you, your project. And so I'm trying to make sure I do only what's needed at this point in time, so that I have enough energy to go for the crowdfunding part. Yes. Also something, if you're interested about crowdfunding, I don't like that this is true, but it is apparently, is that sometimes you get your most when you start a campaign, you usually hopefully get some donations, a spark. And then throughout the campaign, it typically, I really hope it doesn't happen for this because it'll freak me out, but it typically slows down until the last day or 2 days before it ends. And then you get a flood of donations. That's kind of what I've been told happens. If that's true, that is so stressful. Flowers, sort of like that. Flowers, it was more steady, but Flowers was also only for $5,000. So this is 4 times that. But I know it's possible, and I know that this film is going to impact people, and it needs to exist, and I feel very driven to push this through, even if it scares me, because I know it's not for me anymore, it's for other people, and there's no real failing. The only thing that's failing is not trying, right? So there's always a solution, and all you gotta do is just keep trying. So that's where we're at, and that's what this week was. So we'll see how we title these recaps, like these week recaps. I don't know if I'll say like this is week 1. Let me know if you have any ideas for how we should recap our weekly like recaps. I'm probably not going to edit this. I hope that's okay. I think the goal is to be sort of unfiltered. I am also planning, let me know, I want this to be, we're also, this week too is also figuring out what this page is, so we'll talk about that right now. I think it's really magical to have you along in the behind the scenes of making a film. It's why I love making films, and I want to share that passion with you because you get to actually see all the hard work that goes in and like where the thinking and the time and energy goes. Very fun. But something I didn't account for, which I did right now this week, is not to have spoilers. Part of the reason a film is magical is because you go into it not knowing things. And think about, a trailer. Sometimes you don't like watching trailers for movies because it gives away the whole plot. I don't want to do that with this space. I don't want to spoil anything for you if you don't want it to be spoiled. And instead, I'm going to be trying to focus more on process here. So I'm going to be talking vaguely about things, but you'll be seeing what I'm doing. How about that? And I was thinking, if you do want to be spoiled, and you actually want to see how I'm tangibly changing things, plot points, spoilers, anything of that nature, I think I'm going to put it behind Patreon, a paywall, for 2 reasons. One, you're intentionally wanting to get things spoiled, or not really spoiled, just know the nitty gritty of things. So you're intentionally joining that group. And 2, it adds protection because the things that I would be sharing with you are precious things that could be taken away. So for instance, copyright or written things like the script, plot points. It's never good to fully share those before you make the film because someone else can say, wow, that's amazing, let me make the same thing, right? So having a paywall allows for protection. And number 3, I think it would be amazing to get a community to help fund future films. So Patreon would be a great place to donate if you want that funding to go for future projects. So for instance, I think a long-term goal, don't know if we'll get there, but this is the important thing about being an artist and director is you're thinking now and then future, right? So now we're crowdfunding, future, hopefully get our film. Future, I'm thinking it would be very cool to have a community if this works, but to have a community that we can all donate money to, and then we can use those funds from Patreon to do another short film or another film, and we can just save that up to then have you Sorry, excuse me. I've been drinking coffee. Then have you help decide what the film will be. So maybe in the future we could do shorts, and you guys can help dictate and make decisions, and I can give you, 3 options and say, where do you want this to take place? Option A, B, C, you choose. How many characters we have? Option A, B, C, you choose. And we could use your donations as a way to fund those projects. So it would also be a great way to help fund me as a filmmaker as well. So that's everything I've been thinking about this week. So we've been thinking about crowdfunding, what we need to do. We've also been thinking about the crowdfunding, what it's going to feel like. Been thinking about this channel, and that's all. So if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, that'd be great. Clicking the share button down below and just copying the link. You don't have to share. That helps a lot with YouTube. Share this channel with any filmmaker that you know, or anyone that you know loves films. This will be a very cool place for them to uncover the behind the scenes of things. If you have any thoughts on anything I said, please let me know down below. And if you made it this far, leave an emoji of a film icon. Yeah. Okay. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.